G'day everyone. Welcome to Get Lost with a Travel Guide. My name is Ben with your host, and we've got a long-term friend of mine all the way in Slovenia with Sabina. How you doing, Sabina? Are you ready to talk about Slovenia?
Hey, hello. Hello from Slovenia. Yes, of course. I would love to talk about my country.
Okay, we're going to dig deep on Slovenia. We're going to have some fun doing it as well. But now, correct me if I'm wrong, Slovenia, but now, we first met in 2011 on my first season tour guiding in Europe. I remember I went to the capital city. I can never pronounce it. Ljubljana. How do you say it?
We call it Ljubljana.
Oh, my God.
Ljubljana.
It's the hardest spelt capital city, I think, on the planet. I think I've looked at it, pronounce it. I had an Australian guy come up to me on tour and he's like, hey, Ben, how do you pronounce it? Ljubljana, is that it? And Ljubljana, is that correct?
Ljubljana. But Slovenians like the local slang, it's Ljubljana. It's without the J's. J is pronounced as Y in Slovenian language, so that is why it's Ljubljana. So if you put Lyubljana, it would be Ljubljana.
And that's where you're based at the moment. That's where you live.
Yeah.
This is home. So you're born and bred Slovenian, Ljubljanan.
Yes.
All right.
I'm from, we call it the city of love because Ljubezen means love in Slovenia. So Ljubljana means beloved. So it's kind of lovely.
Because I remember all the marketing there. Like you've got the word love in Slovenia. So I thought it was this clever like twang on the English language. So it's actually, right. Bit of a double hit.
Yeah, I feel love or I feel Slovenia, and Ljubljana, the name means beloved. So
move over Paris. No longer the city of love. It's happening. Okay.
Yeah, it's nice. Slovenia. It's Ljubljana. So now all the people will know how to pronounce it.
Well, can I ask, how did you learn to speak very fluent English in a non-English speaking country?
I used to live with a roommate. She was from England. And I learned English. I don't know. I read a lot. I like to read in English. So that's how you learn. You pick the words. We have television, which is not dubbed. So you can listen to the language and you learn.
So you just picked it up as a bit of a side hustle. Like you've picked it up pretty well. I mean, if I hear people speaking, say, German or French around me, I can't learn it. So you must be a borderline genius just to pick it up. But then again, as you said, you must watch like a lot of television shows, as I said, or movies. You picked it up. But do people speak English that well in Slovenia? Like, do people communicate in English, or is it always the local language? Because I can never remember. It's like a mishmash of like Slovak or Hungarian or what is the language of Slovenia?
Slovenian, it's a Southern Slavic language. It's in the same group as the Croatian, it's Bulgarian, Macedonian. So this is the Southern Slavic group. Slovenian, it's kind of very old language because we still have the dual. We have the singular, dual, and plural. And it's very complicated language, kind of.
I know.
If that was not my mother language, I don't know how to learn it. English is much easier. I would say all other languages, are much easier to learn. Like I would say Chinese, Arabic are very hard to learn, but Slovenian, it's kind of the grammar. It's kind of like, oh my God. Right. Even Slovenians, we don't speak correct version of the language. You can just hear I don't know how you call it in the right word. We don't speak very well, the language because we don't speak grammatically well. You can only hear the good version on television, on national television. Otherwise, everybody are doing the mistakes, and we have around 40 plus different dialects in Slovenia. Jeez. And we are only 2 million, the population. So
I was doing a bit of my homework on this. 2 million people, but can we just back it up a little bit and explain, how did you become a tour guide in Slovenia? how did this happen? I mean, this is where we met. I mean, you were helping me with my old tour groups back in the day in 2011, 2014, 2015, 2016, if you remember. And you were amazing. You always got epic reviews. Passengers always loved you. But yeah, I remember you did walk, you did walking tours around Ljubljana. But how did you get started? How did you get all this knowledge about Slovenia that you wanted to share?
I studied finances, and I worked in finances for a year, and I really didn't like it because I'm not interested in numbers. I love people, and I love people from all over the world. I like history. I like to talk. I like everything like this. So then I quit the job, and I was searching. I was like soul searching what to do now, you know. And then I like to travel, so that's why I started with tourism. And first job was to work in Turkey and Tunisia as a tour guide with Slovenians. And I was living there for a couple of months, and it was too much, you know, to live in those countries. So I wanted to move back to Slovenia. So I was doing some tours in, like, I don't know, Berlin, Vienna, the close countries, the neighboring countries. And then the tourism started in Slovenia because, you know, we were part of Yugoslavia. There was war, 10-day war in Slovenia. And then after, I don't know, in 2005 or 2000, from 2005 to 2010, tourism started. Like
that's pretty fresh.
You know,
That's
massive tourism.
I think it was fresh, in the when you said the war. I think the Berlin Wall come down and it had like a flow-on effect. So like Czechoslovakia broke up and Yugoslavia broke up from memory. Yeah. It's going to test my European knowledge as a European tour guide back in the day. So this is like Croatia, Montenegro, Slovenia, Slovakia, Bosnia. And Czech Republic. Yes, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. So you broke off, but you're more from memory the Habsburgs, which is this old European empire that ended around 1918. But more of like that Austrian type influence, because when you look at the geography, fun fact, while I'm thinking about the geography, the country, when you look at Google Maps, has the shape of a chicken. And I love that thing.
Yeah, we are.
And but you're not far. Like I was looking at it. You're like a 4-hour drive from Vienna, like the capital in Austria. So
400 kilometers.
Oh my, it's just down the road for Australia. Like that's just popping down the street. That's not very far, like 4-hour drive. And then, so like the war ended and allowed tourism to flourish. And it seems like, well, how old is Slovenia? It's like, what, 30 years old as a nation?
30. We were the first to become independent in ex-Yugoslavia. So Slovenia started with this independence, and then Croatia and so on. So, 1991. Our national day is on 25th of June 1991. So last year it was 30 years of independence of Slovenia. They're a very young country.
you got centuries of history, but only 30 years old at the same time.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But we are really happy to be independent now.
Well, you said about tourism, and I don't really want to talk about COVID because COVID and tourism just don't really kind of that doesn't really allow for it to happen. So same in Australia, same globally, like tourism has been really kicked to the curb, and it's going to be like that for a long time. But it will open up at some stage. Tourists will return. So I'd really like to know some of the must-dos about Slovenia. Now, I've just done a little bit of my homework. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Some fun facts about Slovenia is about 53% of the land is protected because it's green. It's like, it seems like it's pristine. It's like, it's so pristine. It's home to like whitewater rafting haven. And I think with the pristineness, here's an interesting fun fact. You have like 90,000 beekeepers. Is that right? Like you love honey?
We love honey. I am also a bee guide. I did a license for beekeeping.
You need a license to be a beekeeper?
For guiding. I don't know how to call it. Bee guide. We call it like that. So I can show you around and show you how the Slovenian beekeepers are doing the honey. We have lots of places where you can do the apitherapy, so they have special houses with the bees and you are inhaling the air, which is really good for the lungs and for the asthmatics and so on. So we do lots of things with honey and with things around honey. We make very good honey schnapps, which is very popular.
I heard
have you
that
ever tasted the honey schnapps?
No,
You tried it?
Well, anytime someone gives me something like that, I'm usually pretty drunk and don't recall exactly what it tastes like. I just should start with it instead of finish with it is probably my mistake on that.
But probably we tried it on our tours. I always wanted to. There were some places in Ljubljana where you can where we could do the free tasting of the honey schnapps, and the guests they really like it because they could try the Slovenian local things.
Well,
also, you can try some blueberry schnapps and lots of different kinds of schnapps that's here in Slovenia. So
which is kind of like Austria. I mean, the schnapps is just down the road. It's quite popular. So maybe there's that Austrian sort of Slovenian type influence. Speaking of food, I was doing a bit of homework and I've actually got this on my iPad right in front of me. And I just want to just double check if I can open it. Come on. Siri. No, not now, Siri. Okay. So I was just on Google. I typed in like fun facts, things to do in Slovenia. One of the things is a Slovenian horse burger. And there's a place in your town in Ljubljana called Hot Horse Tivoli. It's got over 1,000 reviews on Google at 4.2 stars, and it sells horse. You can buy a horse burger. Yeah, like if that was in Australia, there'd be protests. There'd be shut down. People love horses. How and what happened? Like, is it a thing or is this just a novelty? Do people go, yeah, I'm going to go for a horse burger and a beer? Like, is that a thing?
I love it. It's so good. It tastes so yummy. I love it. It's my favorite burger.
Wow.
It's really delicious. And horse, it's kind of, we love horses, like animals, but it's like a tradition to eat horse meat like in Italy. Probably because in history, we were farmers. And when people didn't have, when the horse was getting older, they eat the horse. So that's the tradition from the.
Now that is called recycling. Nothing is going to waste.
Recycling, yeah. So, but the horse burger, I love it. It's really the favorite one. Wow. And we have like a couple of places where you can get the horse burger.
I couldn't do
it.
But
it tastes like beef, but it's sweeter. It's sweeter, yeah. Sometimes in the past, I made some horse soup. It's not a beef soup, but horse soup. It's possible. Yeah, it's very healthy because horses are very healthy.
It's a lean meat.
It's very good protein for the body.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, they're a very lean animal, so I guess there wouldn't be much fat on there. You're making stews. You got hamburgers. Oh my god. Okay, so when you're
but it's not really. It's not as popular as beef, chicken, and pork. That's the most popular protein in Slovenia. Yeah.
So it might be a bit of a double standard because there's countries like India, for example, who look at cows as being sacred, and cows they're beautiful, they're harmless, or like pigs, they're quite an intellectual animal, and we eat bacon. So I guess there is a bit of a double standard, like culturally, but I couldn't fly in Australia. Like Australia, sort of the convicts came out, like horse riding and camels. Actually, we can eat camel, quite rare. But we got a love for horses. And if you love horses, how do you sit there with a burger or a horse stew and you're like, yeah, like, how do you, and not think about the beautiful creature? How do you, it's something culturally I don't think Australians can digest.
It's cultural, because it's so normal here. Not everybody go there and eat horse meat, but it's very popular place to go. When I was a student, they opened this place close to a very popular discotheque, and we were drinking, we were having party, and at 4 a.m. in the morning there was a horse burger. So we were all hungry at 4 a.m. So you could meet a lot of people in the line, waiting for the burger. But back in the days, so I don't know.
I don't know how you
It's
do it.
really kind of, I don't think about it, I can say. So it's just the same as beef, pork, or chicken, the
Jeez.
horse.
Well, I guess the nutritional content is probably what I have to be thinking about the most. I mean, it's the same with kangaroo. It's one of the leanest meats on the planet because they're a very lean animal and they don't share much fat because it's a very hot country. And I think a horse is the same. But yeah, I guess it makes sense. Like I guess Slovenia. I think from my research, it's doing very well economically, like in European standards. Like it's a very safe country. It's I think it's one of the best out of Yugoslavia. But yeah, you don't really need to eat a horse anymore. I think again, yeah, it's a double standard. You don't need to eat chicken or beef. It is a bit of a choice. It's doing my head. I can't wrap my head around it.
It's choice.
Yeah.
You don't need to eat. You don't need to eat horse burger.
Has there been any like protesters come up? Like shut this down. You shouldn't be eating horse. It's horses' rights. That has never happened.
No.
Oh man.
No.
Maybe I
don't know. Part of tradition.
Would you come to Australia and we can open up a horse burger here? Restaurant.
I'm not really very much into meat, so I wouldn't.
I just want to see what would
happen. I don't want to work with meat. That's not my thing. So just from time to time, I try the burger, and that's it. So that's all I can say about the.
In addition to bees and some of the protected lands of 53% and horse burgers, if someone's going to go to Slovenia, what would you? And they've got a week. What would you recommend? They've never been, don't know anything about Slovenia, and you're like, right, you got to see these places. What would you suggest to someone?
Slovenia is a very diverse country. We call Slovenia the name, like a cute name for Slovenia. It's on the sunny side of the Alps, the land on the sunny side of the Alps. We have the Alps, which are the most southern Alps in Europe. So we have the mountains, the high mountains, we have the seaside, the Adriatic seaside, and we also have the karst area. So for the people who don't know what karst is, those are the limestone features which are under the ground. So lots of caves, sinkholes. So we have flat area, which is agricultural land in the eastern part. So it's really very diverse. And like you said, 53% of the land are the forests. So we really have lots of forests everywhere. And Slovenians, we love the forests. We also have lots of bears, around 400 bears living, brown bears living in Slovenia.
You mean to say bears are not just in Canada, they're also in Slovenia?
Yeah, because of the forest. There are brown bears, and we still have some wolves and some lynxes. So they're repopulating lynxes to Slovenia. So we have lots of wildlife here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not Google that one at all.
So yeah, in some of the forests you have to whistle or be loud because you can meet a bear, brown bear. That's like typical.
Have you ever seen one? Is it hard to do? Like, do you drive down the road and you're like, hey, there's a bear, or is this like really rare to find?
It can happen if you live in the area where the bears live, but otherwise we have bear tours, so you can go to the forest with a special guide and you can search for the bear. Yeah, I heard that if you have lots of money, you can also do the bear hunting. So kind of.
There is one place that I thought you might have went, and I've been Googling places, and like I just went on to Google and Google image and typed in Slovenia. And yeah, those green mountains, it looks like Austria. This looks like the sound of music. The hills are alive not in Salzburg, in Slovenia. It looks absolutely phenomenal. And one of it is Lake Bled. It's like you got all these castles with this like beautiful, pristine, like the wilderness around there. It just looks absolutely like people think of going to, the Swiss Alps or go to Canada, go to the Rockies. I'm thinking, go to Slovenia. It looks like. Would that be fair? Visually,
I think it's fair. It's much cheaper. It's much cheaper than Switzerland. and the nature is really beautiful, especially the Bled Lake. Lake Bled, it's like, I love it. We call it Bled, not Bled, you know,
Bled.
like we have Bled, yeah. I like to go there for swimming in the summertime. The water is really clean, pristine. So I swim to the island and back. That's really a good practice. There are lots of people from all over the world coming to Bled Lake because it's so beautiful. You have the oldest castle there from the 12th century on the top of the cliff. Then we have this beautiful lake. You can walk around the lake. You can swim. You can some years, if it's really cold, you can ice skate there. So
I didn't realize it got that cold. I mean, it's middle of winter right now.
yeah.
And you said it was like about sub-zero, like about zero. It's freezing right now, pretty much.
No, now it's around 2 degrees centigrade.
Oh, you could do a bit of Wim Hof. You know, you got the sauna, and then you go outside with the ice cold and feel refreshed by the mountains, and get eaten by a bear afterwards when you're running in and out.
Yeah, Wim Hof is so popular here in Slovenia. It's like very popular.
Best, isn't it?
I have so many female friends and male friends doing the Wim Hof.
Yeah.
And we have so many places where you can do it even in the summertime, where we have this like sources of the water which are like 5 degrees centigrade throughout the year. So it's easy to do it in here.
Wow. Well, you've absolutely sold me on Slovenia. It was one of my favorite countries to always visit. I mean, it was friendly, it was safe, and the cheap part of it. If I had €100 a night, is that too much, like to find accommodation, or is that too expensive? What could you find in Slovenia? Because I went on to Airbnb and I was just looking at some places you can find, and it does seem so cheap in comparison to other, you know, the main places like, you know, France or Italy or Germany. Maybe not Italy, but it just looks stunning. Like you can get cottages up in the mountains, like little cabins, and you're not even spending that much. I mean, like, is that going to go very far? Like about €100 a night, €200 a night, or 50?
€100 a night, you can get a really nice place, but even for less. If you want to stay in hotel in the center of Ljubljana, it's much more. Yeah. But if you're staying in like, I don't know, Airbnb, youth hostels, and so it's very affordable.
That seems pretty awesome.
But Ljubljana, Bled, Kranjska Gora, which is a skiing resort in the seaside area, are a little bit more expensive. But if you go to the eastern part of Slovenia, which is like the Pannonian Plain, close to the Hungarian border, then it's very cheap. You can get it, I don't know, for €30 per night.
Oh, we need this pandemic to leave, because I was just before this podcast, I was having a bit of a research, and obviously looking at Slovenia being the chicken, having a bit of a laugh. But then I was looking at the proximity to where it is in Europe. I mean, you're pretty close to the Western. I think it's classified as Central Europe, but you're a 3-hour drive to Venice in Italy, 2-hour drive to the Croatian coast, 4-hour drive to Vienna in Austria, 4.5-hour drive to Budapest. These are some of my favorite places I've ever been to in Europe. And that's what I was thinking. Like, many people might base themselves in Rome or base themselves in London to get around Europe. I might base myself in Slovenia. It's cheap. You got the mountains, you got beautiful coast, beautiful people. Have a horse burger, and then off you go to these beautiful destinations. You know, you could have like weekend away in, you know, just down the road in Italy. Do you know
what I like to do?
Is that a popular thing?
Yeah, I love it because everything is so close. It's like 1 hour drive to Zagreb, capital of Croatia, 2 hours to Venice from my place, 4 hours to Vienna. Then you have 4 hours to Munich. So everything is very close. And I really like to go to Italy just for a coffee. Some days when I don't know what to do, I just go to Italy. It's just a 1 hour drive to Trieste. Trieste is the most northern port, you know, and it's a lovely place. And I just go there for a cup of coffee, maybe a lunch, maybe just to watch people shopping a little bit. And it's really a good thing to do. It's close to the Adriatic. I love it. So Slovenians, we like to go around, you know, we go to Austria. It's 50 minutes. It's Klagenfurt, the closest place to my place. So it's 50 minutes drive by car to Austria, 1 hour to Italy, 1 hour to Croatia. So you can just pick where you would like to go, which kind of feeling you would like to have, you know. So it's really lovely
I'm
to
very
visit.
envious of that. Oh man.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
And
like
we
a
love it,
tear
you
of
know.
jealousy just rolls down my face right now. That's so
I can
good.
tell you one very funny fact that in the month of May, when the sea is already warm enough, then you can go swim in the sea, in the Adriatics, and you can still ski in the mountains. So it's like a 1 hour drive between the sea and the mountains. So you can do both in May, you know, if the weather conditions are okay. But it's really nice. So skiing, and then in an hour you're at the seaside and you're swimming in the sea. So we are really proud of that because everything is so close. It's nice.
So we both agree Slovenia is amazing, but nothing's perfect. If there is something you might be able to change about Slovenia that really bugs you, that really annoys you, like, I wish it would be better, maybe like, you know, maybe copy the Italians, copy the Austrians, what would it be? What was something that you'd like to change?
I don't know, maybe the politicians.
Oh, that's universal.
That's my option.
Well, isn't there a bit of a protest town? I've heard Ljubljana. I mean, I think you got some universities there, and I think I was looking at smarttraveller.gov. So this is our Australian formal website that, you know, says do's and don'ts and when Australians are traveling abroad. So I looked at Slovenia. I thought it says a safe country and everything. At the moment, it's like, warning, don't go there. There's a pandemic, it's COVID. It's like, well, that makes sense. It's everywhere. But it said, be careful of the odd protest. Yeah, apparently he's love a little bit of a protest. Didn't think you're bad as the French, or maybe like people in Melbourne, they love a protest, but said there was a little bit there. Nah, that's it.
Yeah, we did have protests against COVID restrictions in Slovenia. And the biggest one, Ljubljana, like the capital, has around 300,000 population. And there were like, I don't know, 50,000 people on the streets against those kind of restrictions in the past. It was last year. And
50,000.
it was really good vibe.
Yeah, like 50,000 in Melbourne sounds pretty large, and that's nearly around 5 million people. You got 300,000 to get 50,000. Yeah. Whoa. When you look at that ratio,
but they came
that's
from
huge.
all over Slovenia, you know, so
wow.
It was a big protest. And we had some student protests in the past. I don't know how many years ago. We have a free school system in Slovenia. So the politicians started to think to charge, you know, the students should start to pay, and all of the students started to protest, and they were throwing some eggs and tomatoes to the parliament building. So now we still have a free school system, which is really nice. So you can study for free.
Well, Sabina, I'd like to wrap this up. It's been absolutely tremendous, and I really appreciate your time. But before we wrap it up, I'd like to play a little bit of a game. You've taught me and whoever's listening and watching this a lot about Slovenia, and I'm sold. I much thank you for sharing all this insight and information about the country. But I'd like to ask you some questions about Australia. Have you ever been to Australia? Let's see.
No.
Well, let's find out how much
God.
Slovenians know about Australia. Let's test your knowledge. So,
okay,
I'll just give you a little crash course in Australian history. European settlement come out by the British, and a lot of that, well, thousands and thousands of people were convicts. So they weren't the most educated people. They didn't speak English sort of like the Queen. They sort of spoke with a lot of slang, and that's morphed into our language nowadays. So have you heard about Australian slang?
Yes.
Ooh,
sometimes.
Because you've probably had a few Australians guiding around Slovenia, and did they ever say words where you're thinking, what the hell did they just say? Didn't make any sense?
Not so much. I could understand. I was working with lots of Australians in Slovenia.
Oh, well, they're really all tour guides.
So many of Australians. Yeah. I worked with lots of them. Sometimes I couldn't understand a word or two, but I don't remember which words. But I could understand a lot.
I was guilty of this. So, for example, when I was becoming a tour guide in Europe, I spoke with a lot of slang. I speak with a lot of slang now, because I've returned to Australia. But if I spoke with slang, people didn't understand what I was saying. So Australians abroad, we figure this out quite quickly. You got to lose it. You got to lose the slang really quickly, really fast, so people don't understand word you're saying, and you're having to repeat exactly what you're saying. So perhaps that could be the connection. But this is even better. That means you might not know the answers to this cute little quiz. I've only got a couple of questions here, just a couple. So these are multiple choice, so don't worry. You can pick. So let's test your Australian knowledge. If someone asks, so imagine we're doing a walking tour. We're doing a walking tour in Slovenia, and someone says, "Hey Sabina, where's the dunny?" Are they referring to the pub, their partner, or the toilet?
Danny, I don't know. I would say the toilet.
You got it. Yay. All right, there you go. All right, we've got a couple more. Same again, you're doing a walking tour all around Slovenia, and someone asks you, where's the dummy? What are they looking for? A, their partner, B, the son-in-law, or C, a baby's pacifier?
Dummy, a partner.
You would think so. No, it's a we call it a dummy. There's something you put in the baby's mouth. How about that? I got a couple more. I got two more. Okay.
Okay.
If someone says in Australia, they're looking at a shop and they look at the price and they're like, wow, hey Sabina, is that fair income? They would mean they know how to swim a little bit, they are being truthful, or they were born in Australia.
I don't know. I would say B.
That's great. Telling the truth. I sort of spun my own question around there. It didn't make too much sense. All right, and final one. This one is true or false. So we have many occupations in Australia, tour guides, to you name it. But there's an occupation, now is this true or false, called a rooshuer. So kangaroos in Australia can actually leap very high fences, so much they can go over, 2-meter high fences. So what they employ at airports are people that can actually go around the airport perimeter and shine this infrared light in kangaroos' eyes, and it sort of spooks them away so they don't jump over the fence on the airport, the runway. Is that true or false?
I would say true.
I said that with conviction, didn't I? It's completely bogus. That doesn't exist.
I don't know.
Gotcha.
We don't have kangaroos.
I know. But I was just curious, how much knowledge or information does Australia get to Slovenia? Not much, except for us tour guides who spent time there by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I would say so. But
oh, my goodness.
I really like the Australian people.
Why is that?
The people, you're very open, happy, talkative, good vibe. I really love to guide Australian groups. It's fun, very positive. Yeah, that's my feeling of Australians. It's different than any other nation that I was guiding. So it's really optimistic, I would say, very.
In my
Slovenia,
theory? Yeah, right.
Okay.
Well, my theory to that is same again with convicts. It's the attitudes of it depends where you go. Like people are in holiday mode when they would have went to Slovenia, or as tour guides. But I think for the most part you are correct. We do like to have a bit of a laugh, and my theory is convicts. So a lot of a harsh history happened in the 1800s where really bad things happened, and you got a choice of being miserable and going, well, it is what it is. We got to suck it up and take it with a smile, take it with a laughter. That and mishmash of the weather as well. Like warm weather, you're going to have sort of generally happier, laughing people. That's my theory. People might disagree, but there's only one way to find out. You've got to come to Australia, come experience it when the timing's right.
Yeah, when the borders open again.
But why? Tell me about it. But why? Tell me about the average Slovenian. Describe a Slovenian type personality on average?
Wow.
I mean, but the differences between maybe an Australian and a Slovenian. If
I
we're
would say Slovenians really like to complain about everything. That's like a typical thing. But we really like foreigners. We really like tourists. We really like to talk to them. We really like to know about the world. So we are very friendly. Yeah. You could see when you came to Ljubljana, people were really friendly. If you ask anybody to help you, they would help you, and they would do everything to help. So
you're right.
really,
I'd always agree with that. All the hotel staff I worked with, just people in the street. Like there's a lot of pubs. It's a very lively city, Ljubljana. People outside having a beer, having a drink, and it was very welcoming, very open, very yeah. I'd agree. I even went up to a few buskers and just played with them. And before, like I've tried that before in other countries. They're like, get away, and they're like, yeah, man, give me €2 and we can play. And we just jammed for like 10 minutes. It was great.
Yeah,
good times.
We are
good
a
vibes.
wine growing country. You know, we have 3 wine regions in Slovenia. So we produce excellent wine. So wine tourism is very big here. So Slovenians, I would say, we really like to drink. There is lots of.
Oh, I agree. I've got good memories there. I read there is one winery per 70 people in Slovenia or something like that, or grapes. I know it's something crazy like that. Yeah, I read up. What's the main type of drop? What do you drink? What do you produce? What type of wine is produced? Oh, it's a cooler climate.
Yeah, we have 3 different wine regions because we have 3 different climates. We have the sub-Mediterranean climate with lots of red wine like Cabernet Sauvignon. We have our own variety called Teran, which is very dark and very good for the blood. I remember when I was a child, my father gave me a sip of Terano wine with a spoon of sugar in it, and I was putting the bread in it to try it. So they said to me that it's really good for the blood. So when I was a child, I could sip a little bit. So wine is very popular here. You can get the cheapest one. It's I think €1 per liter. So it's kind of
€1 for 1 liter.
Yeah, it's really.
I'm going.
But otherwise, you have also very, very expensive wines. You have. We also produce orange wine, which is very popular nowadays
like
all over
juice,
the world.
Like the fruit orange.
No, it's called the white wine, red wine, and orange wine. Those are the 3 kind of varieties of the wine. We even have the Orange Wine Festival in Slovenia. The orange wine is actually produced out of the white grapes, but is produced as the red wine. So the skin gives this kind of orange color, and that is why it's called the orange wine. If you check in Australia, you probably have it too.
I've never heard of this. There's a big popular alcoholic food chain called Dan Murphy's, and they have predominantly Australian wines, but there's the international section. But it has the mains like Italy, Spain, South America. I don't think Slovenia is there. Can't find it. I mean, we're a big wine producers as well, so we favour our own for the most part. Works a bit cheaper and 70, but I don't think I've ever heard of it. We're gonna have to ask some winemakers about this one next time.
Yeah, we have really very exclusive wine producers. They sell wine in Tokyo, New York, Malaysia. I had some guests from Malaysia, and they were searching for this wine because they could buy it. They could buy there, and we have very good wine. So we are very proud of our wine culture, and it's a big one. So there are lots of festivals, especially in the summertime, wine festivals and so on.
Can you do a horse burger and wine pairing?
Probably you can do it. Next time when you come, you'll get it.
It's on.
We'll do it.
It's on. When this pandemic's done, I'm going over there. I'm having a horse burger. We're chowing it down with a €1 big bit of wine. Have a great time for a couple of euros, and then go chase some bears up in the mountains. That would sound fantastic. And then once the hangover, sort of dissipates, we'll pop to the beautiful places all around. Go to Italy and pop up to, watch the opera up in Austria, and then go for a cheeky swim down the Croatian coast. I think that absolutely sounds
really
fantastic.
Nice. You can also come to Slovenian spas. In the eastern part of Slovenia, we have lots of spas because of the water. It's really curative water, and Slovenian spas are very popular. So we have big spas, sauna, and so on.
And we can nurse the hangover in the spa.
Yeah, it's really good. We love saunas in the winter time, so this is really popular time for the saunas.
It sounds like the pinnacle of an Airbnb sort of weekend away. You've got all the mountains. Perfect. You've got now spas with the wine, with a nice, then the skiing. You've got it all. You've got it all. I'm going. I thought Australia was the best country in the world. It's no longer. But Sabina, I really want to thank you for all your insight and all information. And I told you the quiz wasn't going to be too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
All right.
Except for the kangaroo thing.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't help it. Throw it in there.
Yeah, awesome. I know.
Well, Sabina, really appreciate your time, and we'll be in touch.
Perfect. Thank you. You're all welcome to visit Slovenia. So I hope to see you.
And how do you say bye? How do you say bye in Slovenian?
You can say na svidanje.
Na svidanje.
Na svidanje. Bye bye. Ciao. Živjo.
You made it to the end of the podcast. All right. You know the drill. Give us a like, subscribe, or leave some juicy comments. And thank you so much for listening to Get Lost with the Travel Guide, where we talk all things travel, tourism, and adventure. See you next time.